Question 4. Sulfuric acid. Remember that the suffix "ic" goes to 8, so a sulfate ion is SO4 with the -2 charge. An acid always contains a hydrogen ion. A hydrogen ion has a +1 charge. To balance the +1 with the -2, we give the hydrogen 2 hydrogen atoms to make it a +2 charge, which would balance with the -2 charge, yielding an answer of H2SO4. Question 5. Ammonium sulfide. An ammonium ion is NH4+, whereas a sulfide ion is S2-. The charges would be a +1 with a -2 not being balanced. So, we would use 2 NH4+ ions, yielding an answer of NH4 2S. Remember to use the parentheses to show that there are 2 NH4 ions, giving a +2 charge from the NH4 and a -2 charge from the S, balancing the equation. Question 6. Potassium oxide. A potassium ion is K with a +1 charge. Oxide is O with the -2 charge. The charges would not balance. So we would use 2 K+ ions, so we would have a +2 charge from the K and a -2 charge from the O, giving us a balanced equation. Question 7. Aluminum phosphate. An aluminum ion has a +3 charge and a phosphate ion has a -3 charge. +3 plus -3 is 0, which is neutral, so our formula would just be AlPO4. Question 8. Sodium hydroxide. Sodium is Na with a +1 charge, whereas hydroxide is OH with the -1 charge. If we have +1 and -1, we get 0, which is neutral, so we would just write the formula as NaOH. Question 9. Acetic acid. Remember, the suffix "ic" goes to 8, which would make acidic an acetate ion. Acetate is C2H3O2 and has a -1 charge. An acid contains a hydrogen, and an hydrogen ion has a +1 charge. If we have +1 and -1, we get a neutral charge, which would just make the equation HC2H3O2. Question 10. Carbonic acid. The suffix "ic" goes to 8, making carbonic carbonate. Carbonate is CO3 with a -2 charge. An acid contains hydrogen, and a hydrogen ion has a +1 charge. If we have -2 and +1, we can have 2 hydrogen ions, which would make it a +2, and we have 1 carbonate ion, which is a -2 charge, which would balance and be neutral. Therefore, our equation would just go to H2CO3. Let's write the names for the following formulas. So we'll just be doing the same thing, but we'll just turn around the process. Question 11. CaO. Well, Ca is calcium, which is a metal, and O is oxygen, which is a nonmetal, which makes it an ionic compound, which would just go to calcium oxide, as it is an ionic compound and the nonmetal has "ide" at the end. Question 12. BaCl2. Barium is a metal and chloride is a nonmetal, which is an ionic compound. So barium is a metal, which would just be written as barium, and chloride would be written as chloride. So it would make the equation barium chloride. Question 13. K3PO4. Well, K is potassium, a metal, and phosphate is PO4, which is a polyatomic ion. So the answer would just be potassium phosphate. Question 14. MgOH2. Mg is magnesium, a metal, and OH is hydroxide, a polyatomic ion. The answer would just be magnesium hydroxide. Question 15. HNO3. H is just hydrogen, and NO3 is nitrate, a polyatomic ion. Remember, when a polyatomic ion is added to hydrogen, we get an acid. So the answer would be nitric acid. It would be nitric because nitrate has an ending of 8, which goes to "ic", which would make nitrate nitric. And it's an acid because it contains a hydrogen, so we would get a nitric acid. NaC2H3O2. Na is sodium, a metal, and C2H3O2 is acetate, a polyatomic ion. So remember, we just combine the two to get sodium acetate.